Well, from now on, I would like to tell you concerning the vibrated water, which is one of the various methods of my comprehensive mind discipline. Before I mention this water, I want to tell you the synopsis of my lecture, 지구천국, the paradise on earth. What this 지구천국 intends to achieve at last is the trans-sectarian or transcendental religion, which transcends all sorts of religion and make a new sort of religion, which will lead the residents of the world toward the fifth dimensional paradise in the future. I have selected the various sources of the real cosmic truths from lots of religions and rearranged it or combined them in a new way. It has three parts, that is, the theory, the first part, and the commandments and real activities of the mind discipline, called the comprehensive mind discipline. First of all, I'll tell you concerning the comprehensive mind discipline, and then the vibrated water. This comprehensive mind discipline is the one which combines nearly all the discipline methods, such as yoga, 식단, 신단, Zen, mind control, listening to music, and the ultra-modern new training methods. The reason that I created this method is that while the traditional method has one or two kinds of mind discipline, I selected nearly all the methods and combined them. As a result, this method can make a person have the result of the discipline much quicker than the other source of method. This method transcends all the distinction of the man and woman, young and old, the kinds of religion, the color of the skin, the source of job, etc. And so every person of the whole world can discipline his or her mind as he watches my lecture, as well as the postures of the real activities of this special comprehensive mind discipline. Therefore, we can say that this mind discipline is the epoch-making new mind discipline method. Then, let's consider the target of the comprehensive mind discipline. First, as most of the discipline groups try to pursue the purpose of healthy body and present mind, this comprehensive mind discipline pursues the purpose too. Second, this comprehensive mind discipline has a quite special purpose. And thanks to this discipline method, we can go back to our 20s or 30s. Once we go back to that sort of condition, we can live on and on without becoming old. In addition to it, if we become 1,000 or 2,000 years old, we may die. However, we can be reborn at that place as soon as we die. And therefore, we can live forever since then. As a case of a person named Anamar in the inner world of the earth, 지저세계, it is said that he is now 20,000 years old. The person called Ashita, who is the commander-in-chief of the UFO corps around the earth, is said to be several billion years old. Next, let's see about the vibrated water. This vibrated water is the one which I make it ionized with the vibrating sound. If a person drinks this water, the speed of its becoming young gets much faster. At the present time, the spiritual power of myself is somewhat weak. Therefore, if a person experiments with this water in an experimental room, he probably cannot ascertain the ionization. However, if I continue to practice my comprehensive mind discipline on and on, I'm sure that I will be able to ionize any water completely in the future. Well, from now on, I will show you how I can make the vibrated water. First of all, I put this sheet of paper on the top of this bottle, and I put the palm of my hand on it, and I pronounced Om, 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 like this way. Well, let's think of the method of transferring this vibrated water to a person. As the number of the general persons is too much, I cannot give this water to all the persons. Therefore, the general mind discipliner may as well watch my lecture, 지구천국, the paradise on earth, from the round 3 to the round 8. And as he watches the 8-4 and 8-5, he can follow the postures of the discipline. As he does not drink the vibrated water, it takes more time than the person who drinks this water. At any rate, he will be able to reach the target level. As a result, I try to give this vibrated water to a special person. This special person is the one who is very interested in going back to his 20s or 30s, and who is interested in living infinitely, and who wants to become the fifth dimensional light body, and who has the strong wish to observe the needed commandments, and lastly, who has got alarmingly large amount of money. A Korean has got more than 10 billion won, 100억 won, and a foreigner has got more than $0.1 billion, 1억 달러, or 100 billion won, 1000억 won. At the last step, when all the prerequisites are answered satisfactorily, the amount of money that he has to give me is 1/20th, 20분의 1 of his asset. As I am a spiritual mind discipliner, it may not be appropriate to think of money. However, as I make this vibrated water after I discipline my mind with the comprehensive mind discipline for more than 30 years, and as I am one of the candidates of 정도령, who will realize his spiritual and political ideas at the same time, and as it takes the considerable time to go to Seoul from this 경기도 파주, and rather than anything else, as I will make some good circumstances for entering the future spiritual leaders group made up of 144,000 persons, I think that I need somewhat considerable amount of money, which I explained just before. In other words, it is the payment for the vibrated water. As there is no kind of contract document, it is enough for him to pay it for me after he compares his picture that he took 3 years ago and the photo of the present time. If he thinks that he has become nearly 20 years younger than 3 years ago, he has only to pay me just one time of this experiment. Of course, if he cannot consent to the fact that he has become 20 years younger than 3 years ago, it is good not to pay the money. It is okay. It is wholly up to his conscientiousness. This work will be done continuously with a mutual belief among me and other participants. Well, let's consider the procedure of the transferring the vibrated water to a person who is considered to be a special one. As I live in 경기도 파주, I think it to be a good place, such as the open place in front of the Seoul City or 시청, or the Seoul Station, 서울역. At the first meeting, he or she has to meet me with his helper or his substitute. From the next meeting, he can send me his substitute. When the three persons meet at the first time, I'll take a photo as well as a moving picture. You can understand this activity of taking pictures to be the precaution activity in preparation for any possible occurrence. From the second time, when I meet his helper or substitute, I'll make the vibrated water at the very place where I meet him. The substitute can meet me once a week or once per 2 weeks or once a month, etc. At this time, the substitute can come to me with the water-contained plastic bottles, not the small ones but the big ones, which can be bought at a supermarket. In this case, the water should be that in the supermarket, not in the private house. The person who wants to be a special one has to watch the heaven and earth, 지구천국, every day, and should observe the precepts or commandments in the round 50 of this lecture. And especially, he should not watch any pornography. It's very important. If he says that he had watched it several times in the past year, but he would never watch it in the future, I say that it is okay. The prerequisites which I ask to him is as following. First of all, he should observe the items that I uttered just now. Then, after 3 years have passed, we compare the first picture taken 3 years ago with the present time picture. In addition to it, this person can compare in mind the picture of me which is in the thumbnail of my moving picture, 지구천국, the Paradise on Earth, 1-1. It was taken in 2021. That is 4 years ago from the present year, 2025. Or the shape of myself who is lecturing the contents of 지구천국 with the general common person who is nearly 77 years old. I'm now 77 years old. Then again, if this person compares himself, who is in the picture taken 3 years ago, with the present himself, and at this time, if he thinks that he is nearly 20 years younger than himself just 3 years ago, then he pays the appropriate sum of money to me. At this time, if he thinks that he has not become 20 years younger, he needs not to pay to me. Therefore, there's no contraction document or something like that. We, the persons who pursue the spirituality, put importance upon the mutual belief, and the pictures or the moving pictures mentioned above are only the minimum safety or security measure. Well, except the special persons, there can be the general persons who want to receive the vibrated water from me especially. Probably, as one of my pre-lives was a composer of the classical music, I lived in Europe at the time, listening to music is the most important hobby of me. Therefore, I wish to donate the vibrated water to the singers as well as the instrument players for the payment of their songs and instrument playing for nothing. I think that those singers and instrument players who are old now eagerly want to go back to their 20s or 30s. Secondly, I want to donate this vibrated water to the members of my relatives or those who know me well individually for nothing too. Then lastly, I would like to give some information concerning me. Now I live in 경기도 파주, and my hometown is 전라남도 고흥. My bank account number and the phone number are on the screen that you are watching now, and I graduated from a university and a graduate school. And I've got a certificate of the Master of Arts. The general people usually divide the first-rate universities and the common-rate universities. But here in my 지구천국, I do not discriminate any source of universities at all as to what sort of university a person graduated. Therefore, I only say here that I simply graduated from the university and the graduate school. I studied English in New Zealand and Canada a long time ago. If a common person wants to meet me, he can do it when he meets the following needed items. That is, he's now watching my lecture called 지구천국, the Paradise Nurse, and he is resolved to observe the commandments in the round 50. And especially, he has resolved not to watch any pornography. And he believes in more than 80 or 90% of the contents of my lecture, and especially he believes in the contents of 한민족의 비밀과 사명, the secret and mission of the Korean people, nearly 80 or 90% too. And lastly, he practices the comprehensive mind discipline, 종합정신수련, every day. Well, even though he has not reached this level, he can meet me if he wants simply to talk with me or ask some questions concerning my lecture. In the special case, I'll meet him or her in Seoul. But in the common case, like this one, which I mentioned just before, he has to come to me to 경기도 파주.